Hello everyone and welcome to a video on the Constructive Criticism YouTube channel. I'm Spencer, host of Constructive Criticism and Limited Time Only, two podcasts about getting better at Magic the Gathering. Alright. I'm so sorry. I'm about to do this. I know I've been the champion of the anti-ban, the anti-Marvel hate bandwagon for a lot of people, but it's time to talk about the problem with Standard. Alright, so I want to start by saying that Marvel is less dominant by a huge margin as far as the way that we do power rankings than Abzan, green-white tokens, 4-color Saheeli. All of that was more dominant. They won/top-ended more events, put more into the top 32 than those decks. That's just a fact. So let's be clear that I'm not talking about how dominant Marvel is. I want to talk about something else and what the actual problem is. What I want to talk about is fun. Are players enjoying Standard right now? And unequivocally, the answer is no. People don't like Standard right now. It's not fun for them. They're not enjoying it. They don't want to play it. And there's a lot of reasons that this has happened. And it has to do with design and development. I think there's a real problem right now. And it happened because of some core beliefs that Wizards believed in their new era of design that just ended up not being true for like what makes fun Magic for most of us. So I want to talk about power level really quick, and I want to talk about a few cards. I want to talk about the Saheeli combo, Gideon, Marvel, the vehicles, and Emrakul. And we can talk about Reflector Mage too, but that's not a power level issue. That's just an unfun issue. Just not a fun card. But I want to talk about what happened with, or what they've said has happened with R&D. So, I'm not in R&D, I'm not in the room, I'm not going to pretend to know what's going on. But it's been pretty clear from what Mark Rosewater has said that R&D believes that they needed to lower the power level of interaction in Magic. They needed to do that because people didn't like having their opponents who were better than them beat them with powerful interactive cards. Because of that, the average power level of cards has actually just kind of dropped recently. In my opinion, I don't know if this is factual according to like what Wizards believes, but so what's happened is cards have dropped in power level, but they still have to make these really flashy, awesome cards for the majority of people to sell sets, right? So you have your Gideons, your Marvels, your Emrakul, stuff like that are these huge, powerful, impactful spells and cards, and then you have everything else. So because of that, there's this huge disparity between, like, Gideon and the next best card in the set, right? There's this huge disparity between Glorybringer and the next best card in the set. That's a real problem. The reason that it's a problem is because, like, how do I combat Gideon? I do it with other hyper-powerful cards, like Marvel, Emrakul, Heart of Kirin, things like that. The other cards that are super powerful, the trademark cards of other sets. So because of that, you create these huge swings in Magic the Gathering that didn't exist before when you had powerful answers. That's not fun. It's not fair to me that if I don't draw my hyper-powerful card and you do, I'm probably going to lose that game. That's not a fun interaction. That's actually not interaction at all. And because of that, you're losing out on a huge part of what made Magic great. The other thing that Wizards of the Coast has done is they've removed some identity from people. So there are people that identified, and this is something that we advocate not doing on the podcast, but it's something that's true about Magic. You have people that identify as burn players, control players, ramp players, aggro players, mid-range players, combo players. These people identify as that. They latch onto something that they loved about a certain archetype, and then they're like, I love this, this is who I am in Magic the Gathering. Wizards is like, no, we don't want that. There's not going to be these cards for these given archetypes. They say that they exist, right? So, like, when they talk about development, they say, we want a ramp/combo deck, we want an aggro deck, we want a control deck, we want a combo deck. All of these things they want in Standard, but they don't actually do it. So the reason that they don't do it is because if you decrease the answers for threat, then threat-dense decks become better. Everything naturally converges into mid-range or mid-range style decks, and then there's just nothing left for you to do. So they got rid of 1-mana ramp creatures. They got rid of ramp spells. They got rid of cheap burn to the face. They got rid of cheap interactions. This hurt control, burn, ramp, mid-range. This hurt everything. It hurts these core archetypes that Magic is made up of, that despite everything, somehow Hearthstone still has this super successful game. You know, here's the thing, is I love Magic the Gathering. I actually don't hate the standard format. But the thing is a lot of people do. And when you remove these interactions, these cheap burn, these cheap creatures that cost 1 mana, it's a real problem for Magic the Gathering. I understand, I get that, like, you can't let power creep in, but you still didn't stop power creep. There's still these broken cards that exist. And it's a real problem. The problem with Standard is not Marvel. The problem with Standard is that Marvel and Gideon are so much better than everything else. Because of that, because they've lowered the power level of everything else, obviously you start have to banning these Hallmark cards. Because nothing beats them. You just made Gideon versus what? Nothing? Like, nothing beats it. Except for Marvel. It's not fun. It's not interactive. And it's honestly just not Magic the Gathering. I don't know what the fix is for Wizards of the Coast, other than the fact that, like, you were wrong. You were wrong to decrease the power level and saying, like, can't have 2-mana ramp spells, can't have burn to the face, can't have cheap interaction. When you decided that, like, my favorite standard formats of all time all had all of that stuff. Because there was, like, let's just take, like, one of the most weird formats of all time, right? Theros Standard, right? Mono black control, mono black, mono blue, control, green red devotion. That was a great standard format. It had everything I ever wanted. Like, if you were a Magic player, you could find a deck that you identified with. And that's important. You know, if you identified as an aggro player like Tom Ross, guess what? Weirdly enough, there were tournaments that Tom Ross won without one of those decks in this, like, hyper-aggressive, target my creature, get tokens, mono red heroic deck. You don't need to say... Magic naturally has the variance in it to let players beat the best players in the world. You don't need to intensify that by not allowing good players to win matches of Magic through playing better Magic with better cards, more efficient cards. You don't need to decrease that to let those good players win. I understand that that's a selling point of your game, but it's not the selling point of your game. And what you're doing is you're taking out this huge contingent of people that have a huge voice in the Magic community. Despite what you might think, those casual players care what those great players say. And if those great players aren't enjoying the game and not promoting it for you, there's less of those casual players that come into your FNM. And you can't just ignore them in favor of one side of the game. And that's what Wizards of the Coast is doing, in my opinion. And that's the actual problem with Standard. So, I'm going to say it. Maybe it's time to ban Aetherworks Marvel. Not because it's broken, not because it's too good, but because people aren't having fun. And it's important to have fun. So, this is probably the most ranty video I've ever done for Wednesday Night Warrior. Wizards, please bring back cheap interaction, cheap burn, cheap counterspell. Let us play Magic the way we have enjoyed playing it for a long time. And stop having the power level be of the Hallmark cards versus everything else. Because everything else is never going to win when you do it that way. So, thank you everybody for watching this week. Like I said, the most ranty video I've ever done. I'm just sick of hearing about bans. And if you have to do 4 standard bannings, you have to do 4 bannings in a row. What is it? We ban 3 cards, then we ban combo. Now we're talking about banning Marvel? Like, come on! Do your job. I love you guys. I love this game. I really do. I'm so sick of the complaining. I'm sick of the negativity around Magic. I want Magic to be fun. I want people to enjoy it. It's the best game in the world. Let's play it. Let's play it and stop talking about bans. Let's do something fun. Let's enjoy this game that Richard Garfield created and just have a good time. So thank you everybody for watching. Don't forget to check out patreon.com/ccmtg. Sorry for the rant. I didn't know what else to talk about. It's important. It's so important to so many people. People are having fun. Magic is a great game. We want to enjoy it. So thanks, and we'll see you guys all next time.